All right, guys, here we are. Happy April 3rd, coming to you totally excited, totally uncomfortable. And I'll share that with you in a minute. Because what I realize is that I always put you guys in uncomfortable situations. And I do that on purpose. I do that to help you grow. I do that to push, to see what you're made of. And I'll always do that as a coach. And yesterday I threw myself right into the fire, and I'll share my takeaways from our session yesterday. But before we do so, I'd like to once again welcome any of our guests. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us, because time is something that I'll never take for granted. You guys can be doing other things, and you choose to spend a little bit of your time with me, with us, and with Keep It Moving, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being on. Let's do this. I'm going to go to somebody. I'm going to have them bring us out on the field on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And that person's going to be Christina. Since we're already flowing about eyes and eyelashes and eyebrows and the game that you guys bring in this section of the body, let's go, Christina. Hit them. Bring us out on the field on this beautiful morning.
All right. Good morning, guys. Well, one thing I know we've talked in the last couple of coaching sessions is what has really resonated with you, changed this quarter. Myself, I always tell myself what's meant for me will be for me. And I tell myself that hourly. I think in this business, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. So don't get down on yourself. And another thing too, you'll be seeing from all the lenders, California Dream for All is open. So if you have any questions, Money Store is an approved CalHAPA lender. Let us know if your clients have any questions. But yeah, just keep telling yourself in your head, you are your biggest cheerleader, and what you speak in your head is going to fill in your heart.
Yeah, 100%. And listen, you're a great salesperson. So whatever you're selling, you're probably going to buy that. So if you want to feed your soul with all the bullshit, then that's what you're buying. And congratulations on your purchase. Or you could tell the story a little bit differently and really buy into a different narrative. So I appreciate that. So you guys, quick question before we get rolling. Does anybody on this call, just raise your hand or give me an emoji on the screen. How many people know who Renee Rodriguez is? All right, cool. So what's crazy about this, it's just how the world works in a very crazy way. So this book is on my desk, and I've been reading this book recently. And if you remember last week or the week before, we talked about ethos and really walking and being in your true authentic self. And we speak about that a lot. Now, I know that it's still a struggle for some people to really find what that identity is, to remove imposter syndrome and all the things that we talk about frequently here. I didn't know that he was going to be our keynote speaker. So instead of having Renee Rodriguez come in for a keynote and speak for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then dip out, he spent the entire day with us and then went to dinner with us last night. And so proximity, like that proximity was super powerful. And I learned so much about myself, about you guys and how we can better show up for you. And it was just a powerful meeting. So let me hear from Jeff. Jeff, you had reacted that you have met him. Have you read his books? Have you watched the keynote? Tell me a little bit about what you've learned from him, just from what you know.
I need to read his book. I haven't, but I've been involved with, I'm friends with Phil Rasmussen. I don't know if you know Phil, but Phil and Renee, that whole kind of group. And we had a similar experience with Renee. And here's my, I had two experiences where he was the keynote speaker, and just what he does in terms of like breaking you down and pulling out of you. I mean, I felt like he was my therapist or counselor or something in terms of kind of peeling back the layers of why I am the way I am and why I do the things that I do and what motivates me, what inspires me to be, who I am day to day. And it's powerful. It's extremely vulnerable in terms of the position you put yourself in, because you're doing this at a keynote in front of, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 other people. And there was just two specific, I mean, it still sticks with me today. There was one thing he did with the entire group about what's your favorite color. And he breaks you down in terms of why that is your favorite color. Not just because you like it, but man, he goes deep and you realize things that, I mean, there was some great stories about why a certain color is someone's favorite color. And then there was another one where I was on a panel of 3 or 4 others, and in terms of why we do what we do, how did we get into the business? Why are we in, mortgage origination? Why are we lenders? Why do we, interact with people and help them in the way that we do? And, a lot of people went with the money thing or flexibility, but he's like, no, I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. Come on. There is more to this. There's something deeper. And man, it is so good. He just really honestly makes you realize the deep-seated aspects of who you are and why you do the things you do and why you like the things you do and how you act on a daily basis. So it was incredibly powerful, incredibly scary. There was people crying and just so it was, it's very, it's intimidating. I saw your post. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to hear about this and
Yeah.
what he put them through. So
And it was really powerful. And you guys, today we're not going to go too far into the inspirational, motivational. What I want to do is I want to give you some of the takeaways from yesterday that we all can collectively put into our game to get a little bit better. And my hope is that each of us take at least one thing from every session to say, you know what, I'm going to deploy that into my daily to get a little bit better. But you guys know me, I'm always going to put you in a pressure cooker. And he did an example of how to really develop great hooks. Now, we're not going to do this in this session. We're going to do this in person, but let me give you a little of the cliff notes. So, how many people want to get better on video? People are raising their hands left and right, and I, of course, raised my hand. How many people would like to come up here and do a live demonstration with me? How many hands went up? My hand didn't go up right away, but then people are like, Kenny's like, Elias, somebody said Elias. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm literally right in the middle of all of these leaders throughout the country and at EXP. And we walk through a formula of how to really, really build an amazing video from the hook to the explanation to the solution to your CTA. And it was super, super powerful. But you guys, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to do it. But being up there and having somebody walk me through it and help me, it reminded me of what we do in coaching and why coaching is so important. I could have laid back in the cuts and said, no, I don't want to do that and vote someone else in. But I think it's important that we're walking towards as much pressure as we can, as much uncomfortability as we possibly can. And if you're comfortable right now, you need to go out and shake some shit up. If you're not putting yourself on camera, you need to fail quite a bit because nothing happens when you actually reach the success. We've all had some level of success in whatever endeavor that we've done in life, whether it's academically, physically, mentally, spiritually, as well as professionally. We have reached a level of success. Well, when you reach that peak, it's like, all right, that feels pretty good. But know what felt better? It was the grinding. It was the work. It was behind the scenes. It was the skill building. It was the taking the knocks on the chin, right? That all culminated, was a correlation to your success. So I think that we just need to fail. We need to get gritty. We need to take the knocks on the chin, and we need to embrace what he was saying. I think it was, we need to embrace I don't know if it was the trauma or we just need to embrace the
The
struggle.
suffering, the suffering.
The suffering, bro. Yeah, talk about it. And you guys, Dylan's here. Dylan, I'm so glad you're here. He is the #1 team leader in all of Hawaii. So he is out producing the Colo Bankers, the CBs. His team, new to EXP, came here about 5 years ago, dominating the islands, grew his team to about 130, one of the top leaders in the entire world for all of EXP. He was in the room yesterday. So Dylan, man, I would love to hear some of your takeaways and some of your thoughts on what we learned yesterday.
Well, to riff on what you were talking about just now, the speaker drew us a diagram, and it was like the diagram of the journey to get to what you want to achieve, right? And he used the beach house as an example, and we think the beach house is going to give us happiness, so we work really, really hard on the way to the beach house. And this is the struggle, right? This is all the late nights, the early mornings, the weekend showings, the making the phone calls you don't want to make. And then you get to the beach house and you're like happy for a second, and then you come right back down because it wasn't the beach house that brought you happiness. It was the struggle that brought you happiness. That's what was releasing dopamine in your brain. And so if we can focus on the struggle part of it and not necessarily focus on the achievement part of it, that's what keeps us achieving and going to next heights and leveling up. And it was a good illustration of the mindset that we got to have, because I think a lot of times we think like, hey, if I just make enough money to get the BMW, I'm going to be happy. And then you get there and then you just crash right back down, and then you're not happy, and that thing didn't bring you happiness, and you got to continue to move towards something else. And so if you focus on the struggle being the thing that brings you satisfaction, it's going to just bring more happiness in your life. You can continue to go on to deeper and higher achievement. So that was a huge.
Absolutely. Because think about this, you guys. What are you learning when you actually get that success? Well, it feels good for a moment, but man, all of the time that you spent learning and applying and grinding, like that brought you some sense of joy, because you're like, wow, like I'm doing things, I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm really making like progress. And that was one of the most powerful things. So embrace all the struggles that you're going through right now. And I want you to look at it and say, damn, what have I learned about myself? Who have I become? What have I been able to break through? And know that right there, that struggle is super powerful for all of us. So I appreciate your insight. I put together a quick presentation for you guys to give a further demonstration of what we actually talked about yesterday. And I'm going to pull this up right now. Now I want to do this.
I wanted to quickly share, Elias, too, about your exercise that you went through, because everybody in this call, I'm sure, admires you and looks up to you, and is like, man, that guy is so smart, and he speaks so well, and he does great videos. And I watched Elias struggle yesterday, you guys. I mean, like freaking stuttering, and like, you know, when he was under the pressure of 50 people looking at him and a world-class speaker trying to coach him through this. And so it was just a great example of, we all struggle with that. Like we all, when put under pressure, don't underperform. And I'm sure Elias would never want to watch that back, that 15 minutes back on video to see how hard that was. But I think you would agree, Elias, like you grew tremendously through that, right? I mean, that was a humongous lesson, and you're so much better because of it. If you didn't get put in that very uncomfortable, somewhat embarrassing situation, like there's no way. I mean, I think you totally leveled up in your future presentations and your future videos. And but it took not staying where you already were, which is pretty good, to get you to that next level. And so I totally agree with, you know, resonate with your take on, like, you got to put yourself in those really uncomfortable, shitty positions in order to get to the next level.
Totally. And I got goosebumps talking about this, you guys, because if you've spent any time, please raise your hand if I've pushed you in any way, shape, or form, or made you get super, super uncomfortable. Please raise your hand. And that's probably happened in this environment right here on these calls. And so I want to be a beacon for you guys. I'm going to speak directly from the heart. I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself, right? I'm in rooms that I would have never thought I could have been in 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and have proximity to some of the most amazing minds. And I never want to be the smartest person in the world or in the room. I never want to be that person. So if I can get out there and be humble to say, you know what? I ask people to do this on a daily. So sure, let me get on that hot seat. Was it challenging? Yeah. Could I knock out a video right now with nobody here except for my kids listening, but they know they listen to the takes over and over again? I can knock the video out. But when you have that pressure, are you going to perform? And hey, I tell you what, one of the best exercises that we've ever done, and I will most certainly throw myself in the fire. So let's go to the board, you guys. I put together a quick presentation for you, and we're not going to go through all the mathematics here, but I want to just kind of break this down. And we went through this in our session yesterday. Obviously, your conversions are going to create leads. Your leads are going to lead to presentations. Your presentations are going to lead to signed contracts. And then that essentially is going to lead to a sale. What I see and what I realize, and I feel where we're insufficient, is this here. I want everybody to write on a piece of paper a very small box, right? Or just a small box. Go ahead and write it on a piece of paper, and I'll wait while you guys do that. Go ahead and do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just give me a thumbs up on the screen once you have that done, so I know that you've wrote a very small box. All right, now, who would like to volunteer to do this exercise with me? Go ahead and raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, I'll probably just call on you anyway. So go ahead and raise your hand to do this exercise with me. I'll wait. 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect. Thank you guys for really showing up. Blessing, I'm going to go to you. Blessing, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, Blessing. So I'm going to ask you a quick question, and there's no wrong answer here, right? This is going to be an exercise, but it's more for you guys to do some reflection. How many actual phone calls or doors knocked did you complete yesterday?
No doors knocked yesterday. 5 phone calls.
Perfect, perfect. I love it. Thank you. Stay with me. Don't go too far. Let's go to Erica. Erica, how many phone calls or doors knocked did you make yesterday, and how many stories did you post on social media? Erica Lou, let's go to you.
All right. I posted one story or one reel actually. I don't think I posted any stories. And I made one phone call yesterday.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Let's keep cruising. I'm going to get a couple other people in on this conversation. So Mandy, how many conversations, or excuse me, how many calls did you make yesterday? How many doors did you knock, and how many times did you post on social media?
Oh, social media, I posted one reel and you guys know my stories. I don't even count.
How many
Beyond like
phone call-
5.
how many phone calls
And how
did you
many
post?
calls did I make? I made yesterday 41 calls.
41 calls. Okay, cool. I love that you absolutely know your numbers. Hugo,
I
let's go.
have to.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have to. Let's go, Hugo. Hugo, how many calls did you make yesterday? How many times did you post on social media, and how many doors did you knock? Let's go.
So a 0 doors knocked, didn't post on social media, just scheduled a video for today. And then the calls made, I think it was like 36 around that.
36. Beautiful, beautiful. I love this. I love this. And I appreciate you knowing your numbers. Let's go over to Lisa Torres. Lisa Torres, if you were to put a number in this box, how many calls did you make? How many doors did you knock? And how many videos did you post on your, or excuse me, how many stories did you post yesterday?
So I didn't do a ton of calls or door knocking yesterday, but I saw the needle move because a home light lead came in from someone that I was prospecting the last few months. And I posted a reel, made about 4 phone calls, and also got a notice that my referral in San Diego is in contract.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. I love this. I love this. Now, there's a point behind all this. What I want you to do, and the reason why I want you to write down a very small, literally, I wrote a very tiny box on, it's hard to see, but anyways, a very tiny box on my piece of paper here. You know what this box only leaves room for? It only leaves room for your numbers. You know what it doesn't leave room for? Your fucking stories and your fucking excuses. And I tell you this to be real because when we were hearing Renee speak yesterday, it's like, unfortunately, our industry is an excuse industry. That's why so many people don't make it in this industry. Why? Because you tell a story for all the reasons why you don't show up on video, why you don't make the calls, why you didn't go door knocking, because of all the reasons why. And then you're constantly playing catch up and living in repair mode because you didn't fix what you needed to fix yesterday. So you're always turning around fixing yesterday, so you can't live in prepare mode. So when you write this box, I want this to be a reminder for you that that box has no room for excuses, no room for bullshit, and no room for stories. It only has room for results. And I love that the 3 people that I called on had results. Now, that wasn't the intent, but I'm so glad that it went that way. And it shows me that you guys are serious about this. Remember this box and know that nothing else fits in here except your numbers. Your stories, your bullshit, and your excuses do not fit in this box. What do we have on the screen here, Ashley?
Raw chicken.
All right, so you have raw chicken on the left-hand
Oh,
side.
and sushi.
No, that's not sushi. It's a
Oh.
type of chicken dish. Does anybody know what that chicken dish is called?
Chicken cordon bleu.
Chicken
Cordon bleu.
cordon bleu. Okay, so what is the difference in the delineation between the chicken on the left and the chicken on the right, Ashley?
Cooked and uncooked.
Totally. Now, if you were just to go and pay for some basic ass chicken on the left-hand side, what do you think you would pay for maybe a small pack of drumsticks on the left-hand side?
I don't know, like $10.
$10. Now, if you go to a high-end restaurant in Yountville with your husband and it's date night, you guys got grandma and grandpa to watch the babies, and you guys were able to go out, what would you potentially pay for the chicken cordon bleu on the right-hand side with a nice glass of wine to chase it with?
Like 40, $50.
40, $50, depending on the restaurant, right? Totally.
Right.
Okay, cool, cool. So here's the point, you guys. Right now, if you're not fully able to define, articulate, illustrate, and demonstrate how different you are than what you are is you're just basic chicken. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Do you have something that separates you? And do you have a brand identity right now that puts you in the chicken cordon bleu category that a consumer would be willing to pay for because they know how valuable that piece of chicken actually is? Or are you just a basic piece of chicken? And I want to not basic chicken. Dylan, I saw you smile on this, bro. You want to share any of your thoughts? I have a couple of slides after this, but I saw you smile. Why don't you grab the mic and chime in?
Yeah, so the way I took this note was you can get chicken on the dollar menu at McDonald's, or you can get, or no, let me start over. Chicken without a story costs $1 at McDonald's, right? Chicken with a story costs $100 at a fine French restaurant. And so it's about telling your story and having a story behind what you do, because you can just show a house, or you can provide an amazing experience with a story behind it when you take a client to go find their dream home. And the way you present that and the way you communicate it is going to change the way you're compensated especially in the new world that we're going into. And so really think about what you do and put a story behind it, because you can either be charged $1 or you can be charged $100, but it's really at the end of the day just a piece of chicken, right? And you're just an agent that does real estate. There's lots of us out there, and so you got to have a story behind it. What's your story?
Yeah, and you know, that's why I wanted to give you guys a visual for this. They brought somebody up on stage yesterday, and I know this guy's name is Joe Oz, and he's a super fun, you know, super fun dude, loves music, just super unique, covered in tattoos, has a great family, comes from Jersey, lives in Southern California, just has a really like cool story. He's a surfer. And then they brought him up on stage. He's like, what do you do? Well, I run a team. What do you like to do? I like to have fun. What's important to you? Transparency. It was like, wah, wah, wah. And through this exercise, he was able to help him really find out who he was, like what made him tick, like looked at his core values from when he was a kid, and like really unpacked this to where if he was to tell his true story, it would be an instant connection with him. And what we often do is we say, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a realtor. Most people know about 7 realtors, right? Most people know about 7 realtors. So you're just a realtor? Like, that is so uninspiring, and there's zero story and zero context behind this. So I'm going to take you guys through a framework right now, and I want you guys to pay attention, take some notes, and really, really dive into this conversation. So first and foremost, whether you're a buyer's agent or you're a listing agent or you're helping consumers purchase investment properties, whatever bucket you fall in, most of us predominantly work with buyers. Now, we have listing agents on the line too, but the majority of our business comes from buyers. So first and foremost, who is your audience? Second part of this is show what your competitors can't solve. Right now, if you were going to go up against a Compass, a KW, a CB, and you have a buyer that's shopping for a $1.5 million home in Berkeley Hills, what separates you and what problem can they not solve that we can solve in our environment? And if you have that answer, feel free to grab the mic and share, because there's some things within our own environment at EXP that gives you a competitive advantage if you're able to articulate that. So feel free to grab the mic at any time or just raise your hand. So show what your competitor can't solve. Let's go to the next one. Define the value of your solution. Meaning, if you have an off-market catalog that no other consumer can have unless they're working with you, that no other company out there has because they are with a different brokerage, then the solution or the value of your solution helps them understand that you get more working with me, you get access to more inventory, and you get access to more off-market opportunities that can help you in the journey of becoming a homeowner. We'll wrap all this up in a second. Define the problem. Consumers want more access to inventory, and they have to play in a very limited space. We understand that, right? The house is on the market in Berkeley. It's 1.5, and there's no other houses on the market that fit that criteria. So what happens is that we are instantly in this super, super competitive market, and people feel that maybe they cannot win. So define the problem. Let's keep rolling. Prove how EXP and Team Fast has the solution. So I'm going to walk you through this formula one more time. And I want you guys to be able to really think about this. And I want to call on a couple of you. Who is your audience first and foremost? Show what the competitor can't solve. Define the value of your solution. Define the problem. And then last but not least, prove how Team Fast has the solution, how EXP and Team Fast have the solution. So that is the framework. That is the exact framework that we went through yesterday as a collective group. And within 20 minutes, we were able to figure out what is our clear delineation, why would somebody want to work with us, and how we separate ourselves in the marketplace amongst all of the other brokerages out there. So knowing what you know, and if you don't have the answer, it's all good. If you were to take us through this framework right now, and if you were to help me understand why I should work with you as my buyer's agent with Team Fast versus any other brokerage out there in the market, what would that sound like? What would that sound like? And what is your competitive edge right now to tell a buyer, this is why you should work with me and my team, and there's no other person that can truly compete with what we offer? What does that sound like? And what are the tools that we currently offer that will help a consumer be able to reach these milestones in home ownership? Anyone want to take a crack at this? Darnell, that's you. Let's go, Darnell. So
I'm literally sitting here trying to write out these questions and write out answers. I need to see the last or the first question again.
yeah, so I'll just say it out loud to you. I'll go really quick here. All right, so who is your audience? So in your case, you're probably going to be working with mostly first-time home buyers, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool. So that's your audience. So you know that first part is your audience. So kind of walk me through this. And like I said, you don't have to have all the answers now, but come July, everyone on this call needs to have these answers. Every single person. Because why should I, if you are not glaring and standing out in the sea of sameness, then why is someone going to choose you? Why is someone going to choose you? Why is someone going to choose us? So walk me through some of this framework, my man. You're working with the buyer right now. They're shopping other agents. They come across you. They saw your reviews. They heard good things about you, and they saw your videos on social. Now it's go time. How are you going to separate yourselves with what we currently offer?
Well, buyer, I completely understand that there's a vast market out there and plenty of realtors that are able to help you. But where I see that we can benefit you is not only do we have an off-market supply like no other, but Team Fast and EXP in general, we all lean on one another for extensive tasks that we may not be able to accomplish ourselves. So where I don't feel confident, I'm sure Elias is, and I would love to pawn that off.
So listen, love and light to you, bro, because I know it's hard in this environment. Let's take you back just two of those bullet points. When you said you have a vast catalog of off markets, like I want you to go in a little bit further on that. What does that actually mean? What does that sound like? And what's the service that we offer to our consumers as of right now?
So with that catalog of off markets, I'd say that it provides more houses or more inventory with less competition for you. So where you may see that on the market on the MLS, you have this 1.5 that you were looking at in Berkeley, and there's not much else that you find. Well, per my team, there may be several other sellers that may not have listed their home yet that still want to get it gone, but it's just an off-market property. So me having access to that inventory gives you access to that inventory, and you don't have to compete with those offers that are already getting put in on houses on the MLS.
All right, cool. And I love that we're just doing this framework, because I promise you, once we sit down and we write this out, just like we did yesterday in our session, it helped us all get better. Here's what we have to clearly articulate. The fact that we are the #1 company, EXP is the #1 company in the world for unit count. We beat every single brokerage out there in unit count. We are the fastest growing brokerage in the history of brokerages. We recently rolled out a program that has been around for some time that is called Zenlist. Now, for everybody on this call, never say that word again, Zenlist. It is called EXP Exclusives. What EXP Exclusive allows us to do is to share internally all of the off-market properties that we have. Now, we have over... Brandy, can you mute yourself?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't even realize that.
All right, so let me go back. So EXP exclusives offers us access to over 90,000 agents throughout this amazing company. And what happens is that we're able to see off-market opportunities within our own market that other brokerages cannot. And why? It is stated in the rules of the Department of Real Estate that brokerages cannot share their off-market opportunities outside of their brokerage. So if you have a small brokerage that maybe has 50 agents, they're housed in Berkeley, that's the reach of their off-market catalog. Now, what do you think happens when you have so much more reach because of the size of our company? As a consumer, does that give you more access to opportunities that you couldn't have seen that are that are not on the open market? Of course they are. So that's the benefit of working with us. Now you couple that with working with Team Fast. We're the #1 team in Northern California. What does that mean to you as a consumer? It means that we have leveraged these amazing relationships that we've built in the Bay Area to get transparent information about what sellers are actually looking for when it comes time to list their property. So we build off of those relationships that we have in the community to get as much transparent information to make sure that your offer is in the best position to win. That's how we need to frame these conversations about why we have an advantage over any other brokerage out there. Does that make sense, Darnell?
Certainly. I mean, I should have just thought of the buyer's consult.
Totally. And that's why we're doing this, is because now when we look at that, we're like, okay, who's my audience? What is the solution that we offer? Here's a solution that every single person on this call is trained to do. So many other brokerages out there don't do a full buyer's consultation. And what we find is that there's a missing component of advocacy and education, right? That's the pillars that we should all stand on. I'm going to educate my consumer for everything that they need to know from start to finish about the buying process. And I'm going to advocate for you. I'm going to negotiate for you. I'm also going to have those tough conversations with you, tell you, Darnell, that, hey, maybe that's not the best scenario, or that I'm going to be realistic for you based on your expectations. That's advocacy at the highest level. Now we have to get into a position to where we are able to articulate that, demonstrate that, document that, and illustrate that in our marketing campaign pieces. That's how you're going to separate yourself. Because if you're going to ask me for money to compensate you, you better come correct. You better come correct with value. That's a clear delineation from anybody else out there. You guys, I speak this from a point of passion, because I know how our industry is going to be impacted positively because of you guys. You guys have the ability to say, you know what? I get to take things to the next level. I am now a listing agent with buyers. All of you want to become listing agents, right? Well, guess what? You just became one. You just became a listing agent because you have to treat a buyer's presentation like a listing presentation. Let's go, Joellen. Joellen, you're chomping at the bit. You had your hand up. Let's go to you really quick. She's still there? Okay, there's Sierra. Let's go. Sierra going once, Sierra going twice.
I'm here, sorry.
There we are.
I use the off-market list at my open house, and so many people coming into the open house. This is their issue, is too much competition. And I had just at least 2 or 3 people look at that off-market list. They didn't look through it because I was like, and asked me, oh, what's this? How do I get access to that? And seriously, this works. They are frustrated about the market. They are getting their offers turned down, and they want access to homes that they can get into with less competition and possibly at a better price point. So this totally works. And EXP has so many listings. The problem I'm having is how to download those in the correct format to make this book like a really nice presenting book. But it didn't even matter because people are so interested.
And here's the thing, and I love it. Don't worry about the aesthetics of the book. Just have a book that shows people that you have access to off markets. I don't care if it's screenshots from Slack, if it's screenshots from Top Agent Network, and if it's screenshots from Zenlist. It shows our consumers, even if none of those properties, you guys, from a psychology standpoint, even if none of those properties fit the bill for that consumer, it demonstrates our ability to be creative and be able to have a network of inventory that they don't have access to. Consumers want what they can't have. and we have exactly what they desire. And so that part of the conversation is going to be so important, because here's the thing: no other brokerage has more agents and does more units than us. And no other brokerage, unlike the copycats and companies that are coming after, they don't have a network of 90,000 people that, per the regulations, we're able to share because we're all under one umbrella and one brokerage. That's an advantage, you guys. However you choose to articulate that, demonstrate, illustrate that, and document that, that's how you're going to win with buyers. Let's go Blessing, and then let's go Joellen. Joellen, I think you are back on.
One of the things that, thank you, Darnell, for starting that off and realizing like it's our buyer's consultation that is our value add. It's the first part, and a lot of the conversations that I've had recently are about the buyer's consultation are like how to get started, how to transition that, how to apply it, because a lot of us feel like we're new and we don't own the transactions to claim that and to walk in it. And the reality is we do, simply by proximity, which is what we started the conversation, that we are part of this brokerage, we are part of this team. And for that reason, the leverage that we're talking about is something that all of us can use. So even if you don't have necessarily the numbers that belong to you, you are part of this organization and can use all of that, which will undercut the imposter syndrome. And to the point of not waiting till something is perfect, I hesitated to raise my hand in that moment because I needed to make a turn, but we're not always going to have it perfect. There's just no such thing. The consumer doesn't know what perfect is supposed to look like. They just know you have information, you're giving me details that someone else hasn't, and you sound like you care about me. Let's go ahead and let's start this. And the advocacy and education, that's all that we are doing if we want to actually be in this business for any amount of time to create impact. That alone will set aside us from any of those agents that are literally going to fall out or are really panicking right now because they don't have that leg to stand on. So just it's the balance of, no, nothing's going to be perfect, but you have all of the tools right now, and having that confidence is important.
Yeah, well said, Blessing. Well said. I appreciate your contribution. Let's go over to Joellen. Joellen, you've had your hand up, and now we're back. There she is.
Yeah, hi. I've been using this since it rolled out last year, the exclusive marketing piece that the Zen list. And I use it with sellers because sellers are concerned, how are we going to find the buyers? Well, look, I have over 90,000 agents in our brokerage, and here's a tool that we use. So before we even go on market, I put your on here, and I show them all the DMs that I get for having that house in the system. So today I'm going to a $1.9 million listing appointment, and I'm going to show her all of the agents that will have eyes on her house before it even hits the market to hopefully obtain an off-market a contract. So it's huge.
Huge. And I appreciate the contribution. Let's actually go to Ina and Ilona. Ina and Ilona just signed a $3 million listing yesterday. And I don't know if the
$5 million listing.
Excuse me. A $5 million listing. And I'm sure that some of this was part of the conversation, but I'm also sure that clear delineation of what separates you from the other Coldwell Banker or whatever in your market that are top listing agents. So let's hear both of that. Did the conversation about commission come up to the buy side to address it? And then two, what was the separation from you guys? And congratulations. I mean, this will be a third highest sale in the company history. So I love it.
Thank you. I mean, it came up big time. It actually got contentious for a moment in regards to the buyer side commission, because there was a lot of misinformation about, it's illegal, blah, blah, blah. And so we did have to kind of have that conversation from our perspective versus what the news has been pitching people. And that was, Ilona did a really good job of articulating that. But from our side, we really, really leaned on the team stats. This is a beachfront property in a teeny tiny community, and us saying, look, we have a worldwide brokerage. This is not people moving within Stinson Beach that want to upgrade their beach house. This is somebody who's in Manhattan and wants a California beachfront property, and we're 90,000 agents stacked worldwide. on top of that, they want to move internationally. So that was an easy transition for us.
God, I absolutely love this. So Ilona, she's
And on the buyer's agent side, at $5 million, we are currently offering no concessions to the buyer's agent. So
Yeah.
that is the new reality. We definitely prepped our seller to understand that there might be offers with this additional request, and it's going to be up to her to decide if and when. But she was a strong believer in the fact that buyer's agents don't do very much but open the door, and that she does not want to pay for the representation of the other side of this transaction. And with multiple conversations, we got her to, I would think, understand that this might cause a problem, and therefore she said something along the lines of, if we need to change this in the future because we're not getting the response that we want, are we able to do so? And so that was a really good place, I believe, for us at this price point, because honestly, if someone's buying a $5 million property, they're probably buying it in cash, and they probably have absolutely no problem paying their buyer's agent. Whereas if this was a $500,000 property, which we had another listing appointment right after this one, and we had to change scripts because we had to remind the $500,000 seller that people in that price point are already having a difficult time getting everything together to be able to manage that first time home buy. And therefore, it was a completely different script for this other person that we had a listing agreement with. But in the end, I think that I think we're going to do great. I think what was important for me was to get the seller of the $5 million property to be a little flexible, to understand that nothing, everything is negotiable, nothing is set in stone. And if we need to switch it up, then we can do that.
God, I absolutely love this, because think about what her consumers said. And this is a consumer rating that is done nationally that ranks us as realtors lower than a car salesman. Now, that should hit for most of you. That should like make you feel something. But why is that? Because if you're a listing agent, you're displaying all these great things in your marketing and your influencer marketing package, all these things that we do to determine, or excuse me, justify the value of working with me and having the exposure and all the things. Well, when you think about what we do as a buyer's agent, I think that that work is even more extensive sometimes, right? The reviewing of the disclosures, the reviewing of the reports, the summary of all the reports, and God forbid, you got to stay up late one night and read through HOA docs, right? And then summarize that, and then take the client through the RPA, help them understand the preparation that goes into everything. And then, how many people out there are explaining the transaction management? As soon as you get into contract with me and my team, we have this person who is our transaction coordinator. We communicate through, email to lender, to title, to every important person to help you reach these important milestones. So we have a whole army of people to manage this transaction to close on or before the targeted close of escrow date. So that's when the real work starts. People don't know that. What consumers think is exactly what Ilona just said. Well, fuck, it's easy money for them. They showed me a house, they wrote the offer, peace out, and they collected their $30,000 check 25 days later. That's what consumers think. So when I think about what you guys have the ability to do, we get to change the landscape of how people view us. And to me, that makes me super, super prideful to be able to look back 5 years from now. I'm like, man, look how we changed the game. Look how we increased consumer ratings across the nation for realtors. Look at how we made a positive impact and change in the way that we do business. Now, mind you, is there going to be some discount people out there? Is there going to be people slashing and dicing? Absolutely, that's going to happen. But for the people that say, you know what, I hold my value and my worth to the very highest level, then I get 3% all day long, just like you do on a listing. I get 6% every single time. I feel that those people are going to truly, truly be able to separate themselves. So you guys, really, really good contributions. Like, I am so happy for you, Ilona. So happy for you, Ina. Congratulations. Was there any other nuances that you noticed that were different with the conversation, or was that basically summed everything up?
I mean, I think that summed everything up. I think what really shocked me was how adamant she was, how angry she was that it has been this way for so long, and it's about time that we stop paying these people. And I was so taken aback by that, because we've had many listing presentations since this came out, and everyone has been like, yeah, I totally get the value of still compensating the buyer's agent. And this is the first one where she's like, absolutely not. Okay.
God. Go ahead.
He's an economist, a retired economist. So I don't know what that says, but she worked in money and all that. So
Yeah, and those are some of the hardest to go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I was just going to add, one more perspective for you guys to share in this conversation is we're telling sellers, look, when you hire me, you're hiring me to market your property, right? We're going to take professional pictures. We're going to have drone video. We're going to have social media marketing. We're going to have a mega open house. We're going to do all of these things. And that's because we're going to pay for those things, right? We're incurring some cost to market your property. But you may not know the biggest part of the marketing budget is the commission that we offer to every buyer's agent in our market to bring their ready, willing, and able buyers to this house. And so just understand, if you don't want to offer that part of the marketing budget, that's okay. But we're also not going to be incentivizing buyer's agents to bring their most motivated buyers to your home and potentially get you over list price, better terms. And so if that's a risk you're willing to take, that's okay. But are you also willing to let me take all your photos with my cell phone rather than hire my professional photographer? Because that's also a risk we take in marketing your property too. So we got to frame it as a marketing cost. It's not paying a buyer's agent who does nothing. It's literally a marketing cost, and that's I think can help sellers understand the power of it. I mean, depending on your market, if you're going to get 17 offers on a $5 million house, irregardless of whether or not you offer a commission, then got it. But for some of us who have been around a little bit longer, there was a time when sellers would ask during this conversation, do you think 3% is enough? Maybe we should offer 4%. Because when the market gets slow and there's tons of inventory out there, the day is going to come in the near future at some point. It's not going to be like this forever. That discussion is going to change, and we're going to be equipped to have that conversation with sellers that, hey, maybe we should offer 3.5% or 4% because the guy down the street's only offering 2%, right? If we want to get our house sold quickly and get you the best terms, that's how we're going to do that, is incentivize through a marketing incentive to buyer's agents to get the highest and best terms.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that point of view. I would definitely, before sitting down at a listing table, I would go back through your comps and not only show the list of sales price, but obviously number of offers, and then the amount of co-op commission that was paid on the other side to show them, hey, that house down the street, they had 17 offers. They paid out a commission of X amount. It was on the market for only 7 days. So being able to show them that, hey, here's one strategy, but here's the other strategy on how to leverage the marketing dollars to get more eyes on the property. And as a result of doing that, look what's been able to happen over the last 30, 60 days in this neighborhood. So good stuff, Dylan. Joellen, we have one more hand up, and then hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. Joellen,
Yeah.
last.
I really want to share this with you guys because I've been with a buyer for 4 days that flew from Hawaii to here to California to be with me, to go through different properties. And he's been out here once before, but this was the time because I said, your house is here. It just went on the market. Come get it. We looked at it 3 times. Then he wanted me to take him to a new build. Then he decided to pick out a new build. And we were at the new build for 2 days, picking from dirt, building everything, put the deposit down. Then I started telling him, look at the view, look at this, the other view, there's no houses in front of it. You can take the other house and put 200,000 in it and you'll have what you have right here on a new build. He's like, okay, let's go do that. When we went back to go to that house that I brought my buyers in all cash from Hawaii, it went pending. I got on the phone and I called the agent. I said, what are you doing? I said, you knew my client flew in from Hawaii Friday night, all cash, and you didn't even call me. And he goes, oh, someone came in right after you that night and we had to get it locked in and yada yada. I said, okay. I said, so who's the agent on the other side? And he goes, oh, so and so. I go, okay, so you're not double ending it. He goes, no. And I go, what did you guys bring in at list price? I said, wow, my client would have rode over. And then he goes, I'm like, who's the agent? He's like, Caldwell Banker. I said, oh, is it out of your team? He said, oh, not at all. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm not sure if you did your seller justice at this point because you didn't contact me and you knew he flew in from Hawaii all cash. He goes, yeah, no, I know. I'm sorry. Within an hour, I got a call telling me that buyer backed out. and if we wanted to send our offer over, and we did, and we got it accepted. But my buyer says that had I not done my due diligence and asked all the questions or picked up the phone or even tried to figure it out, he would have lost out. So as a seller's agent, you have to look at every single offer, pick up the phone and call everyone. You don't just take the first offer that comes. That's not doing your seller justice, number one. And as a buyer's agent, if you're not willing to do those things or sit there for 4 days, don't do it, because we went through everything. I mean, the hours that I spent, but that's okay. I got him in contract. But another thing about the commissions, I'm on the other side of the fence. Do your job, know your worth, and get paid. Don't steer a client from one house just because you're not getting a commission on it, because that's not right.
Amen. Amen. Well, congratulations to you. If your consumer has a house to sell in Hawaii, please reach out to Dylan. He'll be able to serve your client and help them on that end.
No, and Joellen, that's such a beautiful, it's such a beautiful story, but this is what all of us fail to do, and maybe you too, are you telling anybody that story?
I'm gonna share it. This is gonna be shared everywhere, because
okay. 100%. Like, that's we have to tell people, and that was one of the takeaways yesterday. Is the framework is who I am, what I do, and how I do it. And if you can communicate that clearly and concisely, that's a 90-second reel all day long. Then consumers will understand your value. But I think we know how hard we work. We know how above and beyond that we go. But I think a lot of times we fail to tell that story and communicate that. And that's why buyers just think we open doors, write contracts, and they collect a fat check at the end, like Elias said, right? So let's use Joellen's example and share that story.
They say I'm the little shark, and my client is going to write an amazing, or even do a video testimony. So
I love it.
You guys.
We're going to pause there. This goes back to really telling the hero's journey. We have to be able to share their journey. We have to be able to share how all of our wins, if we've been able to negotiate, if we've been able to get concessions, what we've been able to do, like really walk the consumer through that entire journey. Now's the time. Now's the time where we really redefine it. I talked to Roxanne yesterday. Roxanne, Jung-hee, Julie, and Jen were 4 of our top agents, are sitting in Julie's living room last week, just masterminding on how we can articulate this. What can we add? What can we do? And so this is the time, you guys. This is separation season. So we're going to pause there for a second. I'm going to get a couple key takeaways. Let's go, Ashley. Ashley, key takeaways from our time together today. Thank you for being on. As always, let's hear from you. Key takeaway.
Key takeaway was tell your stories and find the problem. Just because we know what the problem is and we know how to separate ourselves doesn't mean that we're always communicating it effectively. So that was a good mental note for me.
Totally, right? There's so much we know that a consumer doesn't know that we actually know, right? They think, oh, you open the door and you sign it or wrote an offer and then you get a big old check. No, there's so much involved with what we do. So I appreciate that, Ashley. Let's go over to Erica. Erica, one key takeaway from our time together today.
Today, my key takeaway was that I need to prove myself to my consumer, and excuse me, I'm getting over a little cold. I need to prove myself and just like make sure they know my worth so I can get my consumer to trust in me.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, Erica, and go a step further. And I don't have too much time, but do your parents own a home?
They do.
And where are your parents from originally?
My parents are from Hong Kong and Taiwan.
And what age did they come to this country?
In their teens.
And how much did they come with when they came here?
Absolutely nothing.
And what does home ownership mean to them and to the family?
It means a lot. It means generational wealth that they can pass down to their kids.
How long have they owned their home?
Oh, for like, I want to say like 30 plus years now.
Is it safe to say that they have a high level of financial security because of that investment?
Definitely.
See the story that we're creating here?
Yes.
Right? Like that, there's a story and I'm already like, I could get emotional because of what it means to them. So when someone asks you, what do you do and why are you in real estate? I'm in real estate because literally because of my parents and what my parents were able to do and sacrifice for us coming to this country. They came here as young teenagers. They didn't have much, but they came here for hope for a better life. And 30 years ago, they purchased a home, and now that home is worth probably about $1.8 million. And what it showed me is it showed me that they were willing to make sacrifices to build wealth for us. And now what I want to do is I want to put people in a position to be able to build that wealth for their family, like my family did mine. That's why I'm in real estate. And I'm just paraphrasing, all right? I'm just trying to put that all together. But that's the story, right? So when you think about your value, the value is wrapped in why you actually do this, right? And then we start building all the marketing and the pieces and stuff like that. But get very clear with what that story is. And hopefully that gives you some light on what it could potentially sound like. That's my version. Your version will be different. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Dylan, any final words? And I want to say thank you for being here, my man. Thank you for contributing. Any final words? I appreciate you being a guest here at Keep It Moving. And I didn't know he was going to be here.
Oh, thanks for I'm paying my rent for using your office today. So I appreciate you guys hosting the mastermind yesterday. No, I think everybody just, be grateful to be in such an amazing network, have the leadership you guys have. It's a rare thing. I think Elias and I both face this, right? Where our agents, especially if you're a new agent, knew nothing else in life, and they sometimes can take what we have for granted. So I just always like to remind agents that what you have is special, what you have is not common, and you're around the best in the business, and that's a blessing. It's a huge blessing. It gives you a huge advantage and leg up, and soak every ounce of it up and take advantage of it, because your peers are struggling right now. They don't have this kind of guidance, this kind of leadership, this kind of coaching, and we are very, very fortunate. I'm fortunate to be a part of the network and connected to guys like Elias that I can learn from, and Kenny, and wouldn't be here without it. And you guys have every opportunity to go as far as you want in this business because of the people you're connected to and the folks that you have access to. And if there's anything I can help you with ever in Hawaii, or pass any things on that I've learned along the way, I'm happy to do that. But honored to be a part of being business with all you guys.
My brother, I appreciate that. Remember that box, you guys. Write that small box on a piece of paper every single day. The only thing that fits in that is the amount of calls, doors knocked, and the videos that you created. And you know what there's no room for? There's no room for stories. There's no room for bullshit. There's no room for excuses. So as always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and go out there and crush your day. Peace.